Hey guys, good morning. Alex here of Zesty Ginger. I wanted to hop on today and talk about a super important topic. Now, these words that I'm going to talk about are the words that are probably the most damaging words that we hear on a regular basis, and we can predict with all pretty good amount of certainty how someone will do in our programs, either our detox or our healthy hormones group program, based on us hearing these words. Okay, so you ready? Let's talk about this. The words that I'm talking about are "I already know that," or "I already read this," or "I have tried everything." Right, so some combination of those words, but the overall practice is that, or the overall point is that they already know that, so there are a lot of things that they are dismissing. Okay, so that to us predicts with a pretty high certainty how someone's going to do that attitude. Okay, so here's why, or rather, here's the main point. Unless you have results from something, the results that you want, then you're not ready to say, "I already know that," or "I already did that." Okay, so the only caveat to that is if it actively hurts you, obviously. Don't be doing that. But what we're talking about here is a little bit different, and I'm going to give concrete examples of exactly what I mean, and why we believe that there's always more to explore in something, and that repetition and a different approach and a different mental state to something is really, really crucial. And for us, we're always trying to challenge ourselves to, even with the most basic things, dig deeper, get more of a personal connection to the things that we do, and why it can be really, really hard to approach someone who already has that "I already know that" attitude. Okay, so why does this happen for people? Let's hit on that first. Sorry, I'm having word finding difficulties this morning. It's still kind of early. So why does it happen? So a lot of people who deal with really chronic problems, health problems, are in this exploratory phase where they're kind of like, all right, I read that stress management matters, but time to move on to the next thing. The other group of people that tends to have this kind of attitude is when someone has really begun to identify with being a sick person. So, whether that's, for me, chronic pain. I'm a chronic pain person, and I strongly identifying with that. I am celiac, for me, identifying with that. And it's not that those things are not true. It's just that sometimes people identify so strongly with their illness that it has now become that, and our conscious doesn't want to be wrong, right? So if you have identified with that, there's almost a drive for you to continually self-sabotage yourself so that you can stay sick, right? And so that your consciousness is congruent with what you already believe about yourself. Now that is a hard thing to begin to battle, and that's why so many people that we see that are ultimately not successful have this approach where they're like, "I already know that, I already know everything." Okay, so let's do some examples now. So one thing that we hear about a lot with the "I already know that, I've already done everything" is food. Now, Megan and I have done countless elimination diets because we understand that the body changes over time, and not only our relationship to food, but our ability to process it actually changes quite often, right? So for me, what I do on vacation is a lot different from what I'm doing when I'm stressed, working a lot, not sleeping, all of that stuff. So there is a point to saying, even though you've done one elimination diet, that is not to say that you can't reapproach and do a specific one for dairy, see how you respond to all the different things there. That doesn't mean that you can't do one for different time periods of your life. Postpartum is very different than before you had a baby. All of that stuff still applies, and so going at food with a different attitude goes a long way. There's also a lot of mental components to food, right? The way that we approach sticking to an elimination diet or a certain diet that we believe is right for us. Like, whenever you mess up, you're like, oh, I'm the worst, I messed up again. Like, that kind of attitude brings out a different digestive parasympathetic nervous system response than one that's a little bit more positive and saying, I am choosing to cheat right now because of X. Because I need this emotionally, I need this spiritually, I want to prove to myself that I can, whatever it is for you, it doesn't have to be the same struggles that we have, but it's just understand that your approach to your food, your diet may be perfect and dialed in, and you could be completely miserable. Okay, so that changes how you think. So just because you've done one diet and it didn't work doesn't mean that coming at it in a different way and approaching it mentally differently wouldn't be helpful. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Another example would be something like stress management, where a lot of times we hear like, oh, I already did that, I already worried about it, and now I'm done. Like that didn't work, that didn't fix my. Now, I'm not, we never say that just because you're less stressed doesn't mean all of your chronic symptoms are going to go away, right? So it's not that, oh, yep, thank you. Thanks for hopping on. We'll see you. Doesn't mean that this isn't going to be something that you think about really for the rest of your life. And I fully expect that I will be reapproaching my stress management forever. And that is an ongoing subject for me based on what's going on in my life, the stressors, the not stressors, things that I'm happy about, changes that are happening, that whether they be good or bad changes, right? So when you approach stress management as like yeah, I already heard that you're supposed to take a couple deep breaths before meals, or, yeah, I know, but I can't do anything about that because I have small kids and, whatever, and excuses. We're not saying that that's not true for you. The thing is that when you have that attitude, you are really, yeah, have a good day. Thanks for stopping by. That it is only hurting yourself, okay? So, it ends up being so much more damaging, and we see people that have this attitude struggle over and over and over again, even though they're eating some of the cleanest diets we see. Some they're like staying home from work, they're dialing everything in, they're doing everything, but their attitude is not conducive to being healthy, right? And approaching things in a more comprehensive way. So hopefully that makes sense. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully you found this helpful. Let us know what you think, because we see a lot of people with varying degrees of illness and everything, and this applies to almost everybody, and it's something that I personally have certainly had to think about a lot. So hopefully that you found that helpful. Whoa, I just did a little earthquake. And we'll see you soon. Oh, actually, real quick, we're doing our 7-day free cycle syncing challenge. And so if this resonated with you and you want to live a life and approach your health in a more comprehensive way, and that is a little bit less stressful on you, make sure to join our challenge. It's starting next week, so that's just zestyginger.com/challenge, and you'll get all signed up. So thank you. I'll see you guys later.